Just like the Apostle Paul, who was Saul, had this miraculous encounter with God. He was interrupted on what he was doing. I got interrupted too. I had to end up going to Florida. I didn't want to go there. My dad said, you got to go with your mom. So I went with my mom, and we went to Florida. And I hated the idea of it because I was going to start as a tight end at Philo. That was going to be my year. It was going to be my junior year. I was going to start, and my plan was to go to college and play college football and then go to the NFL. I was really good at catching passes. So I went ahead with it, and we went down there, and I ended up playing football down there and got a starting position down there. Things were great. Things were wonderful. But, I didn't have a heart after God. I had no conceivable idea about the things of God. I'd been to church a couple of times, and some crazy things happened. And one time I got my butt whipped because I dropped the F-bomb right in the middle of the sermon at a Church of Christ, non-instrumental. And my mom grabbed me, and the whole time I'm going up the aisle, I'm screaming, "Don't beat my ass. Don't beat my ass." And then she got me back there, and guess what she did? She beat me. On my backside. And so the whole time that she was doing that, I was still screaming that. That's a vivid memory because I was like freaked out. I don't know. Why do kids do those things? But anyway, so moving forward, I ended up in Florida, and the next thing I know, I was entrenched in this Christian community. All these people were Christians I ran into, public school. They'd come up to me, they'd pray for me, they'd come up to me and say, "Hey, won't you come hang out with us tonight?" And I would, and I was like, this is really weird. This is strange. I can't deal with this right now. And so every time I'd find a young lady that I was interested in, the first thing they would say is, "Hey, by the way, you shouldn't be seeing her. It's not good for you." I said, "Oh, okay." So normally I would have said, "Okay, I'm glad to hear that." Anyway, so I listened to their admonishment, and then the coach, every practice would have somebody doing some worship music, and he would do a devotional. So here I am. My life is like completely interrupted. I had other plans. I was also going to be the 5th member of KISS. That was another plan of mine. But it didn't happen because God had a mission for me. He had some plans for me. Yes, I know, right? I bet you didn't know that about me until today. It was a dream, and I was dreaming real big because I wanted to do some great things, even though I didn't feel like I was a great person. But I got interrupted right in the middle of my life. Great things. So they would do this devotion and worship time, and then 5-minute meeting, and boom, we're out there, we're practicing, and then Friday night would be a game night. Saturday, they would come and pick me up in a school bus, and we'd get in the school bus and drive clear to Daytona Beach at the Children's Hospital there. And we walked in, and I saw these big linemen laying hands on these kids that were terminally ill and praying for them. For the first time, I'd seen something real, something genuine. So I backed up against the wall, and I remember just crying. And I said, "Well, if you're real, because I was still a skeptic, I want what they have. I want what they have." And so time went on. There was a Wednesday night, my sister and I went to this revival service. I didn't know it was a revival service then, but we went to this revival service, and there's an evangelist up there preaching away. He was preaching away. And all of a sudden, they did this altar call, and I had this hunger in my spirit, and I ran down there, and the next thing I know, my sister's down there with me, and we give our hearts to the Lord. We gave our hearts to Jesus Christ that night. No one can ever tell me that God does not have a plan for our life. He has a plan. That we got home that night, and all of our stuff was packed in a U-Haul. All of it. And my mom says to me, "We're moving back to Ohio tomorrow." I didn't get to say bye to anybody. I didn't get to do anything to connect with anybody. We were just moving back to Ohio. I said, "Okay." So here all these people were out there that they find out I'm leaving. They didn't even go to school that morning. They were there weeping in the street. I said, "Hey, it's okay. I'll call you. I'll write you." And so we get back to Ohio, and I'm not going to belabor the story. I ended up at my dad's house. Now, I never known my dad to be a Bible reader or anything like that. But when he took me into his house, I was like shocked because his coffee table had Bibles and study materials sitting on it. I thought, wow, that's really weird, right? So he told me, I knew where my bedroom's at. I put my stuff in there, and he asked me if I wanted to go to church that night, and I said, no, I think I'll go down to this. I said Baptist church. You didn't know this, but I just took a walk. Then I came back. The following week, he invited me, and I went. Interrupted. Every step interrupted. Every step, God was in